work, plus, very plus, is the traffic. There is no traffic.
Yes. So I used to live up in Chicago, and I worked for Best Buy, and I would have to go to the Northwoods Mall. I'm sorry, not the Northwoods Mall, the Woodfield Mall. And the
Yeah.
Woodfield Mall, if you don't know, it's one of the largest malls in the state.
Oh.
And from November through December, it is packed. It is packed. It took me 3 hours to get to work for a 1 hour drive. So I was like, I'm constantly late going to work. Yeah, I would leave 2 hours beforehand, and I would still be late to work. It was frustrating. So I do not miss Chicago traffic. I do miss my Bears winning some games, though.
I agree with you 100%. It's been like what, almost 7 years I traveled in Chicago roads, and it was tough. You had to get out by 6, unless you are a little bit behind, then you turn. But you don't know when you're gonna reach the hospital. So
yeah, I listened to a lot of radio back then. So just being stuck in the car. So before we were talking, you were telling me a little bit about some events that you had upcoming. You have one on December 7th, the Christmas Bonanza. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
So let me kind of go back a little bit. So recently, and I think Anshuman was there, we had a Diwali function. Diwali is like a Christmas of India. Now, as I told you, there are 18 organizations, right? So each organizations do their Diwali function. Now we have what is called Indo-American Society of Peoria, which is a collaboration. There was a collaboration between Indians and also American community, raising funds for EPIC.
Oh,
EPIC,
okay.
EPIC. And then also there was Jungle Book was the performance that was presented that time at the 5 Point Washington. So that is a Diwali. That is what we did together. That is, again, fundraising for EPIC. Now, the same way, again, the Christians in India also have, all the different regions have their own organizations. So North has it, South has it, West and East, both sides. So there are at least five organizations that I know are Christians. And this is the community, Asian Indian Community Christians of Central Illinois. So they are all together. So this is the third year that they are doing this combined performance and celebration of the Christmas. Is called Christmas Bonanza, they call it. And that is actually on December 7th, starting at 4 o'clock and then going until about 8:30. So there will be performance there, and obviously Indian food and some Indian dancing and things like that.
I love Indian food.
So that is how it is. And usually about somewhere around 400 or so people participate.
Where's it going to be held this year?
So this one is at Northwood. It is always at Northwood Church on the Allen Road.
Yeah. I've been over there a couple of times.
So,
they've got a beautiful facility.
Yes, it's very great facility. So what it is like, again, is a collaboration. There's a collaboration between the American Northwood Community Church participants and the Indian community coming together and enjoying. This year, the main chief guest is their main pastor, John Reichner. So he's going to be coming and attending. First time, he says, well, I got to see what you guys doing. So he's coming. And obviously, this is the fundraising for Family Core. Family Core is about 125-year-old organizations. I was just there just about a week ago. They had their 124-year, but next year, they'll be 125. What they do is pretty much same as our aim is, that how do we help families stay together? So they provide social services, counseling in this school district, 150 students. So they stay together so they can focus on the studies. So ultimately, our goal is to how we educate and how do we facilitate to get the education for all the children. And that is where the money is going to go for their family liaison who works in the school district. It also works in Pecan School District 108 also.
Well,
Last year they provided 5,000 kids. They touched 5,000 of kids, something like
that's
that.
incredible. I
Yeah.
want to say I just having two distinct cultures celebrating Diwali and Christmas just kind of intertwining and being able to come together and find a mission to support is just it's brilliant, and it's what we need more of in this world right now. I mean, hats off to you all day, man. That's phenomenal.
Right. And it's all that non for profit, right? So it's all donations and stuff like that. That's amazing too.
And is it a 501c3?
Yes, these are all
Okay.
501c3 not for profit organizations. So we sort of the way we collaborate is, all the funds that we have, like tickets and whatever comes, it goes directly to their main office that they manage the money. We
Amazing.
just manage the program. That is how it goes. Even Anshuman can tell you that this Diwali, Utsav Diwali we did, everything we did was completely through Epic. Epic managed the funds and stuff. So we don't want to be managing funds at all. It's too hard for me.
It's a lot of work, especially a
It's a lot of,
nonprofit.
yeah, yeah.
And I love that you're talking about unity, especially right now, because we live in the United States of America. It just doesn't feel that way right now. So I love that unity, and we need so much more of that right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
United, you can achieve quite a bit, much more than individually. So,
United we stand, divided we fall. That's right.
I was going to say United Bears fans.
Hi.
Take the Green Packers down, or Green Bay Packers away.
Back to what Doctor was saying about Epic. One day I was working at Dream Nightclub, and they did a nightclub like thing for Epic, and I volunteered to DJ for them that day. I promise I did. And it was a good day for the kids, the people at Epic, because they're all going through their little, all of these special needs and all that, And it was so funny. They had so much good fun. It was one that was like, she was like in a like electric chair, and she was like, "Can I have the DJ's number?" She said, "I want to call the DJ and tell them thank you." But that was so special, and I even got pictures with most of them. They had so much fun, just being in the club atmosphere with the lights and the music, and you know what I mean, and the dancing.
right.
They really enjoyed themselves, and it brought a good feeling in my heart that I was there DJing for them. I promise you.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. Thank you, actually. That is a good. I just want to kind of go back to where we said, education and pediatric, that is where we need to start. So, like long time ago, we actually, when the children's hospital was being built, we have we approached the sisters and we said, what would you want from our community? So there is something called Gandhi Conference Room. The Gandhi was a freedom fighter for India. So they actually agreed to do that. So we have contributed funds for that. We also contributed funds on the education part of the this museum. Museum has some classes where they can provide education to the schools when they come. The second part is Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah.
So all the kids who are actually getting the medical services in Peoria, their family can stay there in the Ronald McDonald House free of there is no charge.
Yeah, that's huge.
It is
Yeah.
huge. They have a 33 rooms suites, which is where we contributed and provided their dining room, and we also go and cook there once a month. And other community like Hamida's Kitchen also cooks there.
Oh,
once a week.
all right.
Wow.
So that is what we provide. So I'm just trying to say is like kids taking care. Now these kids are in the school. That is where the family core come into play. So family core actually helps them to stay at task so they can study. We have a Bradley graduate students who are going there and tutoring in the high school,
Okay.
Manual and Peoria High School, and they are paid people that actually. So the tutors, which are high school, I mean, graduates students get paid, and they go every day to the Manual and Peoria High. And recently, just about on 15th, we started in the middle school, Annie J. Gordon, and
Congrats.
that's over. So just to kind of help them out in the math and science and things like that.
Well,
Now,
we've had
once they are
conversations about that. It's much
graduated,
needed.
yeah, once they graduated, right? So it's high school, they graduate. Some of them have, disability or they are challenged. So that is where the epic come into play. So the epic actually assesses their capacity. So we actually last year we did what is called PAES system, which supports their, they analyze all the children who are graduated, who needs and what is their capacity, and accordingly they are actually placed into the vocational training from the epic, and epic actually provides them. So this year we did their computer uh, room or electronic room they call it, where they can actually learn and get to the all the jobs that are in Peoria. They can
Yeah.
be placed there. The reason we do this is because obviously not every kid has same capacity. So this is like to help them, because medical science, as Darnell talked about it, that kids are growing now 5 years old. Like before, Down syndrome kids would be would be alive by like mid, in the teenage year or mid 20s. But now, because medical science has grown so much, so they are actually living to 40s and 50s and 60s. So once they grow to that level, they have to really be on their own, whoever are able to, right? So because their parents, their caregivers are gone, now there is nobody there to support them. And that is where Anshuman actually get us connected with there's a picket fence in Chillicothe
Yeah.
where
It's
Things
we
are
run.
kind
going
of
well.
connected with them. So that is their concept. And that is how we came to the family, the Epic, to
Yeah, it's
see how we can support. Go ahead, Anshu.
Epic's run by a old high school friend of mine.
Yeah,
Oh,
But
interesting.
so not Epic,
I
not
was gonna
Epic,
say,
Picket
man.
Fence, Picket Fence.
Oh,
yeah,
picket fence.
picket
Listen,
fence. Yeah.
I have an aunt with Down syndrome, and she's approaching her 60s. She's been living in a care facility for the last, gosh, 10 years now. Uh,
Oh,
but I mean, that to your point, like that was something I was always concerned about. I was always concerned that I was going to lose her when she was in her 20s or 30s, and to see her, live this exceptionally long life and is, flourishing with people around her and the right kind of support is just it's awesome. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Well, that is where we are now, and but then we don't want to ignore the kids who are really good. That's why that tutoring program is. Plus, we wanted, not everybody is going to be a doctor, so we actually have to expose those kids in the high school with the medical other career, like nurses, respiratory therapists, all of those. So that is the program we actually piloted with the um, Jump Center, OSF Jump Simulation Center, and now there are 40 kids are already in that program that
Wow.
eventually going to be receiving some sort of a shadowing internship, eventually college, and then placement. And then recently we started the similar program with the Bradley collaboration on the engineering and business side. there were 25 kids from all this area high schools actually went there. So I think that is what we want to give back, obviously, because all the people who are there have volunteers from the community going there, teaching them, holding their hand, helping to make their resume, providing them the information about where they can apply, where are the local schools are, what do they need to do in the in the high school, what courses to take, like all those mentoring and stuff. So that is that is our way to give back. So
So how do we get? Uh, so how will we get people signed up for that? Just say I have a son that's 14 or 15 that might need a mentorship for somebody or anybody. How would they get in touch with you guys to what's the information to get in touch with you guys?
so
That
that
they
is a let me I mean it's a perfect question, right question. How do I get in the system, right?
right.
Right. So there are career coaches in each school, right? So the
Okay.
career coaches are the our key people. So I talked to Dr. Karat, Sharon Karat, and we
Yeah.
met with them, the Peoria school
Public schools.
district,
Right.
yeah, public school, and talked to her, and she said, that is how we came across with the career coaches. So each school has a career coach, and the career coach connects with us. So they go through their own individual assessment and then
Yeah.
decide who needs what needs to do where, and then kind of go from there, right?
What
Who's
about
it up to? Who's identifying the children who are going to participate in the program? Is it a self identification, or are these courier coaches? Are they the ones who are identifying the individuals?
Correct. You are correct. Exactly. So career coaches identifies, like Epic goes and go to the all the kids who are actually comes to the internship at the Epic, the building which is on university, and out of that they figure out which one they would want to provide which direction, and that is where that PAS system where they actually be assessed by Epic which way they would go. In a similar way, the career coaches at the high school level would do that. And then the Woodruff High School, Ariana, is the one who manages, Woodruff School has a career school, right? Program. So they actually decide. So we, even tutoring, as I said, the school teacher decides who needs tutoring. Because
okay.
I have no idea, no way to know, right? Who needs and who doesn't need.
Right. What about like what age range does it go? Do you guys do like autistic kids? Is it a certain type? You know, mental disorder or whatever you guys do? All types is what I'm trying to basically say. Like,
Well, I think the what you're talking about it is at the epic level, right? That's what you're talking
yeah,
about, right?
yeah.
So the epic actually goes to that school, which is the like autistic, Down syndrome, other kids, and the teachers actually identify who can and who cannot, because obviously autism or cerebral palsy or those conditions, some of them, there's like a big spectrum of their clinical efficiency. Some of them functions very well even with a cerebral palsy, just and some of them have a like a bed bound, chair bound, can't function, can't do anything, right? So those kids we cannot help much, but in between who can do it, like those who are really capable, that is that we connect and help them out. So
Say real quick, did anybody see the bodybuilder with cerebral palsy?
Uh,
Blew my
no.
mind. It's
yes.
incredible. I was like, "Oh, what? Like this guy? Get it!"
I didn't even know
this
that
this
exists.
what is that swimmer, right? He's autistic.
Uh,
Oh, Michael Phelps.
Phelps.
Yeah, Michael Phelps is autistic.
Oh, I thought he just had big feet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I got a son that's I think he's autistic too. So I wouldn't mind seeing what kind of programs is available for my son. You know what I mean? To
Mhm.
help them. Because yeah, it's definitely it takes a lot of patience when you got kids with autism and things like that. Because the development level is just basically speech, like. But otherwise, doing anything else, he can do all that. but he just don't explain himself. Like I think he should. I mean,
I do.
he'll grab
Yeah.
his finger and like direct me to wherever he going, but he won't say it. Like, just that's what I'm trying to get him out there. Just some juice. They say I'm doing
So this Easter sales, right? Easter sales. There, all the programs are for autism.
okay.
They are
Oh,
very
no
much
kidding.
focused on that. Easter sales of Central Illinois.
And aren't they located out in Bloomington, or is it?
There is a Bloomington also, but there is also in the Peoria.
Okay, yeah,
which
I used to help them do fundraising. We raised like 20 something $1,000 for them over the course of a couple years.
Okay.
But they did a lot of great work out there, McLean County.
We do fundraising for Easter Sales of Central Illinois. It's called Passage to India.
Oh, cool!
Every
Tell me
year.
more about that.
Yeah, it's a 17. This was the 17th year that we did this year, and usually that is also a great collaboration between local businesses and Indian community, and then Indian community kind of comes together and cooks the home cooked meal. So we don't cater food from outside. The community kind of goes there and cooks, and that is a food you would probably never gonna get any restaurant.
I was just gonna ask you, because I know when I lived in McLean County, I feel like it was really easy. Like you throw a rock and you're gonna hit a really fine Indian restaurant.
Yes.
And I feel like in Peoria, it's kind of been on the downswing for Indian cuisine. And I wanted to ask you what your thoughts were. What do you see as what's the best Indian cuisine in Peoria right now?
So so when I came in '83, we had no grocery store. First of all, it was all we had to go to Chicago and pick up. And I
Yeah.
think the community was about 30 or 40 families at that point. So whoever goes would pick up for everybody
That was nice of them.
and bring it back. But right now there are 4 Indian grocery stores. That is, on the university that is called Swagat. Swagat means welcome.
Mhm.
There is another one which is on the Pioneer Parkway. There's another, there's one on the Knoxville on the north side, and then there is one on the Knoxville just close to the hospital. So that's 4. The restaurants that are, I would say, there's a Tadka is another one which is on the Pioneer Parkway. There's another restaurant. There's one actually in downtown Bayleaf, which is a Maxim building,
Mhm.
right in that building, right across from Saffron Social. There's another one on the north side of the Knoxville, which is Masala Cafe. And the similar one is also in downtown, not downtown, but right around on the Knoxville, around Dunkin' Donut area. So that is where it is. And there is a one in the campus town, which is
So-
rice and spice.
Where do you go to? You're out on the town. You're like, hey, I need to get some food. Which one of those places are you gonna stop?
So I usually go to Tarka if I want, nice North Indian food. There's a
There, you heard
South
it from
Indian
him. That's
usually.
the best Indian place in town.
Yes, that is what it is.
Where is
Yes.
it exactly?
I'm sorry.
Where is it? Where is this restaurant?
That is on the Pioneer Parkway, right where the Touche is.
Oh, okay.
In that shopping mall, right on the corner there. That's a Tadka restaurant. That's the food came from for Utsav Diwali.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's if you want like a fast food kind of thing, then you go to the campus town. There's a rice and spice has a good food. Although remember our food is always spicy and has a lot of masala.
I love chicken masala.
Yeah, that's how it is. But it's a good community.
Different food. I'm saying for a lady, no.
Hey, you're cutting in and out, DJ Mimic.
Yeah.
I'm in and out. Can you hear me, guys?
A little bit. It's still kind of
Oh, I don't know why.
sketch.
I don't know why. Is it?
Oh, there it
Is it
goes.
better?
Now
Yeah,
you're
that's
good.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like you were like
yeah.
underwater or
I
something.
don't know why it was so sketchy.
Welcome back,
But
DJ
I
Mimic.
said, yeah, Indian food is definitely good and spicy.
Yeah. It is spicy, but if you want a home cooked food, I will probably invite you in the Passage to India, where the
Oh, yeah,
community actually comes for 3 days and cooks in the embassy suites kitchen.
And when is that again? Because my wife is definitely going to want me to take her that.
It's called Passage to India. It's in the this next year, I think, is in April.
April?
Passage to
Oh, I
India.
got to wait till
Passage to
April.
India.
I was hoping it was going to be
Sorry
in like
about
a
it.
couple of weeks and
Yeah.
get some good
No,
homemade Indian
Passage
food.
to, well, it's the Easter Seals, and I think they are the most running thing.
Makes sense.
Now there is another program. I mean, another thing is called India Fest. We have done through the Peoria Park District and the riverfront.
Ooh,
That is
awesome.
usually in August.
Did that happen this last year? How
Yeah.
did I get it?
Yeah, August it is.
Ah.
It was there. August, I think August 18th or 19th, something like that. Because India Independence Day is August 15th.
Mm.
So around that weekend, we have this India Fest in the riverfront. It's like all the restaurants, everybody, all people have a stalls and food and like all the Indian handicrafts and other things, and the cultural program too. So
Is it like every country or every established country in the world except for, was it like Ethiopia? I think has an independence from British rule or colonialism at some point. Just fascinating.
Well,
Yeah,
Ethiopia at some point was conquered by Italy, but that was into the early 20th century.
Well, I'm thinking back. 'Cause I think it was Ethiopia, and there was a.
Oh, yes, it was.
It was okay. Good. Yeah, that was the place I was thinking of because there was a tribal leader who led the rebellion and saved the land for his people. It's a fascinating story.
And Doctor, you know where else you're starting to show up at? So I've been getting my daughter involved in Peoria Fashion Week. And we went last year. She was not able to walk because she was only 4. You have to be 5. But we attended. And towards the end of the show, they did like a world fashion show. And there were a lot of people representing India. So they came out in, all their gear. And it was a beautiful thing to see and, just to learn and get to know about the culture. Because I love humans. I love everyone's culture. I love to learn about it. So y'all are starting to show up there. And in fact, one of the ladies, I know she made the outfits for her children that were in that show. And I know they'll be there again this year. So they're just now starting signups here in December for it. So I'll ask a little bit more about it. And if I can get some more details, I'll let you know. Maybe y'all could, attend that or be a part of that and, show more of the culture to everyone that way.
definitely. And I think, but if you go to the India Fest, there are some people who are selling at a discounted price for all the Indian attire, like for the man and the, woman and the kids and other things too. I'm just saying that. I have some, and my wife has many, many things. So when we go to the India Passage to India, she actually provides those dresses to every other like local business women and stuff.
So,
Like that.
if you don't know who runs the Fashion Week, Doctor, it's run by Chanel Murray. I think she's the head of the Peoria Park District. I think.
Yes, Chanel Murray. Yep.
Let's give them a call. Get them on the podcast.
I know. I can get her on the podcast. Chanel Murray.
Heck
I definitely know her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go.
She's a good friend of mine. She's the one who got me to get my daughter involved. So I love Chanel. I worked with her. We bartended an event. Jaquise. He's a singer. He came to town.
Jaquise, yes.
Yeah. So we bartended together for that event, and we've been like that ever since. I love her. She's involved in so much.
So
Yes,
kind of
she is.
going back to, sorry, you were asking something, Darnell?
Oh, no, 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 no. I wasn't asking that. I was listening.
Well, the other thing is, we try to kind of, again, one other area where we want to kind of connect is the local uh, politics. People say politics is dirty, but I think you have to connect with the local government.
Local's the way to do it. We were talking about this last week. Local,
Yeah.
everything all politics are local. Everything's local.
Yes.
I don't care
Yes.
how dirty you think it is. Like, you can clean up local politics real quick by putting
Right.
together a thoughtful story.
So 3 years, 4 years ago, I don't know exactly, but we started working on it. But then it has to come from within, right? So person has to be, want to run and do all these things. So now we have Kiran Valpula. Dr. Kiran Valpula is the alderman. So he's been there for 3 years now. Initially, it was when the Rita won, she appointed him, and then he actually ran for at-large councilman, and he won in that. So that he's there. So that is also something that we're trying to connect at
So
the
How does
local.
that help benefit your mission?
So the mission is, again, collaborate and actually help with the education. And he's a doctor. Doctor is a neurologist. He's also doing a lot of research, cancer. So because Peoria is going to be medical hub. So we thought this
Central
would be a
Illinois for
right
sure.
thing. So try to bring biomedical engineering kind of businesses locally.
Please, yes, that would be
So
very
that is the
necessary.
purpose for him to sort of support it through the city, state, or wherever. So that is the idea behind it. So like
one-
if the kids are really, engineering and this are already doing it, but then they need to get a job. So we want to increase the population in Peoria so they can, the young people can stay. If they stay, then the population would increase, right? So this Virtue Sense is one of the startup which is very good, who's doing the fall prevention for the elderly and otherwise. That is what they provide the sensors and things like that. That is based in Peoria.
So
He wanted to go
prevention for the elderly.
well in the hospitals, nursing homes, things like that. So that is
Yeah.
what it is. Because I know once the adult or elderly fall, then if they break, that is really bad for them
Yeah.
to kind of function. And usually, the majority of them do not survive.
Oh, goodness.
So that is the purpose of that. So they actually started that project, and they actually collaborated with the Bradley. He's a Bradley graduate.
All right. Yeah. So is my wife.
Yeah,
So-
engineering graduate. So he's pretty good, and he wanted to move out. We kind of, twisted his arm to stay in Peoria. so he's here and he's happy, and he definitely is doing well. So there are businesses has to be there once you have all this, people who are graduating. Now they need jobs because Caterpillar is sort of going away. Medical is growing significantly, so you need to have that. And then there are certain people that would be having biomedical engineering part. So that is the one company that is doing it. Um, Obviously, that's where Dr. Kiran Valpula and his wife, Dr. Swapna Valpula, they are all in the research for new brain cancer. So they're trying to bring something for manufacturing medications, other things in Peoria.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So, doctor, one thing you could do potentially is go to distillery labs and reach out to the Chamber of Commerce to actually reach out to people. Actually, talk about how trying to bring more jobs, more business here. So, just to give us more detail about who we are, Doctor Peoria Life. One of the things our goal is to showcase what makes Peoria great, specifically the cultural outlets. So, for the last few months, we created something called the Peoria Martial Arts Forum to interview local martial artists so we can turn and as well as help turn Peoria into a combat hub. So one thing we're currently trying to do with this show is to highlight the cultural aspects of Peoria, like say artists, musicians, as well as other cultural outlets of Peoria. So one of the things that's amazing, we have quite a few skilled Indian musicians in the area. Like you hear performances, yet these are usually established, attended by usually the South Asian community. What are your thoughts on this?
So, were you part of the Peoria play
No.
that was just recently done?
Oh.
That was a Peoria play. We had several events during that. But obviously, there is Passage to India's 20th anniversary is coming up, not next year, but the year after. So one of the thoughts is kind of connects exactly what you said. Peoria Symphony connecting with all the local artists for singing and otherwise. So that is things in the motion right now on the concept phase. Whether that is going to be, eventually can reach to that level or not, I don't know. But right now is on a concept phase. So, like this Utsav Diwali, you were there. You saw the Central Illinois Ballet was performing in that jungle,
Oh yes.
right? So it's the same sort of a concept that how we can associate, connect, and start performing.
So
I would love to learn about some of those things before they happen, because I always find like I find out about them a week later, and like I feel like I've got my my fingers on the pulse of what's happening in Peoria, but I always miss it. Where can we go to
Same.
get this information so I don't
Me
miss
too.
any more cool cultural events?
So you have any? I mean, I think this platform that you have, do you have somewhere we can electronically put you to get the information
Oh, shoot.
beforehand? Huh?
we have Google Drive, we have emails, we have any method. You just
Well,
contact me, doctor.
what if we
Okay.
were to
Well, Anshu,
maybe?
I'm sorry. Go
Well, I
ahead.
was going to say maybe what we could do is we could put the community calendar onto peorialife.com, and then we could start adding the events and have them really showcase what's happening culturally within the community.
I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah. I can send all the information, and Anshu is pretty much connected with me.
Yeah.
And he gets all the messages even on the WhatsApp or text or email about certain programs that is coming up. This year is almost pretty much over, except this Christmas bonanza. That's on December 7th. I'll send that information to you,
So
Anshu.
Yeah.
that's perfect, because right now I
Yeah.
imagine you're going to be gearing everything up for your next calendar year, right?
Mhm.
So
Right.
we'll be able to get out in front of it, and as things are coming up, we can let the audience know, which that excites me, because I don't want to miss any more of these events.
Yeah, but definitely we'll do that. So
Awesome.
So I'm on a side note. So let's just say I have a formula that mimics a mammalian host. So you could use it to, I mean, we were using it for, diagnosing like rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, things like that. I'm just, sorry, we were talking about the biomedical engineering, and I wonder like if there's someone that around here that I could talk to about that to see if it, because I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it actually works. I'm told that there have been several physicians that have worked with it, and it's like just like face meltingly cool stuff. Like they were able to grow spirochetes within a matter of hours when it would normally take months. So I would wonder if we may be able to connect offline and talk a little bit more about that.
So just to give you an idea about, Arnold talked about his child had some heart surgery, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
So the Jump Simulation Center is a key thing for biomedical engineering. So that is where they even make the model of heart. There could be 3D electronic model that would help the physicians or surgeons to go in and where to go and what to do. And I can connect you with them to see, and that is like an engineering process, uh, completely engineering department of that biomedical engineering that actually do 3D printing based on ultrasound, which you probably have down in like echocardiogram. They do quite a bit of echo. So they do 3D echocardiogram, and according to that, they do 3D printing, and then from there they make the heart, and then that's the heart that they look at it, and then how the surgeon, Dr. Plunkett or otherwise, go in and fixes the problem. So it's a really it is happening in Peoria.
That is amazing.
Have you ever
That
heard
is
of
amazing.
the what did they used to call? I think they called it like it was. They essentially would take the bladders from pigs, and then they would dry them out, and they would grind them up into this powder, and they
Hmm.
described it as an active matrix. It essentially contained the blueprints for the person. So like if you like the story that it was that a guy, his brother was working on this technology, and he had cut off the tip of his finger, and his brother was like, okay, like use some of this stuff, put it on there, and he drew his finger back with the fingerprint, the nail bed, and everything in there. And I wonder, if you have a mammalian host and then you have the active pigs matrix, that would essentially give you the instructions. Like you could essentially make someone's like a genetically identical organ for that individual if you had the right
Well, they're trying to
information.
do that, yeah, with stem cells, because those stem cells, they can, they either go one or two routes where they make, whichever cell it's supposed to make. So that's along the lines with the stem cells. That's what they try to do is take that stem cell and apply it to grow. The only thing that I've heard so far, correct me if I'm wrong, doctor, is it's neurology that we cannot fix. Anyone who's severed their spinal cord and brain and thing like that. But I've heard now that they're taking brain cells, hooking it up to wires like as a computer, and these brain cells are exceeding what a computer could do. Have you heard about that?
Well, I think there are a lot of basic science research, like what you mentioned. It is happening in the labs, but there is no clinical applications of those, like what you mentioned about, whether the function can happen or not.
With the stem
Um,
cells?
Was that the
yeah, the
Neuralink?
stem cells you cannot do because of ethical reasons, and the government, usually you cannot do any of those cells beyond 6 weeks. You
Oh,
cannot collect, you cannot do anything because otherwise, they have done, you already know about in vitro fertilization,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you do have in vitro fertilization where babies are born and they can actually grow and things like that normally otherwise. Surrogacy is the other part of that, which is where those things are placed into some other mom's womb, and then you kind of have those things that is done. But what it is the stem cell research government has really um, put a stop that you cannot do more than 6 weeks, sort of thing.
Isn't it like the collection of stem cells because they
Correct.
get it through the umbilical cord, and
Mm-hmm.
those are like the
Right.
stem cells that you would really want if you're trying to heal a patient, versus
Exactly.
you can get stem cells from the bone marrow, like the
Mhm.
interior of the bone, but I
Right.
guess they're not as pliable, and there's some
Right.
other issues that go along with them. I mean, I think stem cell technology is fascinating, but
Mm-hmm.
the active pig matrix thing does not require stem
Wow.
cells. It's
Looking at.
activating
Hmm.
the what's already in your body to
Right.
essentially rebuild that. And I thought it was fascinating because I was expecting to see a lot more of it through like the military, because that they were talking about the military application, and there was a guy who had lost his quadricep, and they were doing the study with him to try to see if they could grow his quadricep back, and then everything just kind of went away, and I haven't heard about it for 15 years.
Aw.
But it's just been muddling around in my brain for that long, and I appreciate you taking my question on that, because I know it's out of left field. But on the flip side of that is, we have such an incredible community of people in Peoria, and they are so talented across the board. It surprises the heck out of me. So I would think that being able to ask that question in that way, or maybe I don't really even know where I want to go with it, could help inspire some individuals that are in the Peoria area to bring those ideas that they have forward. Go down to the Jump Simulation Center and offer what they have. So thank you for going down that rabbit hole with
Oh.
me.
So one thing also, doctor, potentially having, like say, there are people. One thing I've noticed that's very neglected in the South Asian community, that we do have quite a significant cultural aspect, like poetry, music, literatures, and dance and theater have always been part of our community for a long time. But I feel like it's not as talked about as much as a viable theory, because usually you hear South Asians going into engineering, medicine, business, or IT. Because I think it's just in general that the arts are not seen as a practical field as much as they anymore. So one of the goals why I joined Peoria Life in the first place was to actually help promote the arts and culture. Like, I really especially want to see this done in Peoria, because people need to be united by culture, not just by work obligations, whether they go out and interact with their community via job or politics, but by something that actually connects people.
Well, can I throw a wrench in that for you? Because my wife worked at the university. I worked for one of the largest companies in the world, and we had a lot of people that immigrated to the U.S. that were taking those jobs. One of the things that I found was if you work and get an arts degree, it's good. I find that it's more difficult than if you're to find a job immediately after school. And if you're wanting to stay here past schooling and you don't have your citizenship, things can get really, really difficult. If you're an engineer, you're very likely to find a job. If you're a physician, likely to find a job. Lawyer, likely to find a job. If you go into the arts, you've got an American degree, and that speaks volumes about what you're able to accomplish. But if you're not able to get that job while you're here, it's like those 4 years that you just spent here building up that life and working with the community just kind of goes out the window, and then you get sent back to your home country. So that's what I've noticed has been a catalyst for driving people more towards STEM.
And I echo that, actually. I agree with you. And in fact, when we have residents here and stuff that I kind of talk to them, I see their background and stuff. A lot of people have arts, and they went and even worked in the New York area, which is where the best, I think you probably could have a job and things like that. But it was not enough to pay. So they quit, come and came to the medicine. So obviously there are reasons why they are. Plus, we all are here from India. We all have a big degrees, and most of the degrees were engineering or medicine and things. So obviously, when the father is physician, he always wanted his kids to be physician or whatever. I think that's kind of goes along with. There is definitely a area where we can actually do arts and stuff, but it's going to be difficult to change the mindset that we have for now. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah, and say I only mentioned that because I had a friend who had immigrated from South Africa, and he's been having just a hellacious time with getting his visas approved and just being able to stay. He's actually up in Canada right now. Because he had to leave, and my uncle used to be the American ambassador to Sierra Leone. So I called him and I was like, "Hey, what's going on here? What happened?" And he gave me a very quick and powerful demonstration of just how broken the immigration system is coming into America. And it was kind of a shock, really, just an absolute shock.
Yeah, our community has grown
Wow.
significantly here in Peoria. about 6,000 or so we have like people,
That's awesome. I
but
didn't know it was
almost
that big now.
90% of them are pretty much into some sort of those professional educated and having a job like that. So when we did the survey for our community, what do we want for our community? They said nothing. We are good. We have a good place to stay, good job, good income, good
Right.
everything, all those
Right.
things, right? They
Well,
said we
Right.
don't
on
want
that point,
anything.
we were talking about this last week. One of the best things that you find from a growing community, or a well-established community, is the arts. The arts is something that will just it flourishes in a community that has the appropriate level of support. So it's great to have you here, talking about the community level involvement, what the boots on the ground are, and you guys have a plan for really every measure of individual, at least that we've talked about.
Definitely.
We've talked about youth, we've talked about college level, we've talked about post college, we've talked about politics in Peoria and how in the integration from the cultural centers. Like I see that you guys have a really well thought through plan on how to engage with the community. So I wonder
Yeah.
though, what about we've got a pretty significant homeless population right now in Peoria. Do you guys have any plans to help influence that?
Well, we have not. I mean, the short answer is that.
That's
We
fair.
have not. Again, as I said, education is our focus, obviously.
Right.
Education and a career is our focus. See, the only thing I told you about when we did the survey, they did say we don't want anything, but the only thing they wanted is how can we decrease our taxes? So to decrease the taxes, you have a bigger tax base.
Say you run your township really well, get them out of debt, and then you can start lowering those taxes.
That is the way we are moving. So obviously we haven't have no thoughts or anything.
Well, I'm
Well,
curious from you on
Doctor.
that point. Well, I'm curious on the tax point. Like, what's the plan there? I mean, I know how I would do it as a as a politician, stepping into that role. But how do you representing that community? How do you see being able to influence and lower taxes in the long term?
Well, I think the key part of the lowering the taxes is you have a bigger tax base, right? That's the first part. So that is where the education, career, other things come in, and people stay here and increase the volume, increase the population. Then, if you have more people, then there's more people paying taxes, and you would have less of a tax kind of thing.
What about the
That's
human
the one.
component there? Because just about every time I've heard that aspect of it, you grow the base, but then they don't want to give up the revenue that's coming in from that growing base, and then we
Yeah.
wind up taking out a loan that the city maybe could afford, but probably shouldn't afford. Shouldn't go out and get. So how do you solve for that problem?
Well, I think until we reach to settlement for pension,
What, the Illinois pension?
yes, there is no way to fix that. Yes, I could understand. Even city of Peoria, 85% of the budget is for pension. And they got 15% is what they had to play with.
85% of the city's revenue is
85%
going towards the pension plan.
pension. Yes, you can, I mean, 100%, that is where we are. It took me a while to figure out why the city cannot do anything.
Well, yeah, it's in the Illinois state constitution.
Right. So that is the one reason that is difficult, and the county is the same way. Now, the obviously Caterpillar is tax exempt when it was, and the hospitals are not for profit. So you can have a big like headquarter in downtown Peoria, which is we have OSF headquarter, but they don't pay any taxes.
Man, I'm still blown away by that, because I knew like at the state level it was about 40% of the overall revenue to the state was going towards the pension plans, which I'm not entirely against. I'll tell you what I am against though. I'm against people working 20 years up north of Route 80 and then collecting a pension plan, and then coming south of Route 80 and then working another 10 years and collecting another full pension plan, and essentially
No.
collecting two pension plans off the same state. That is something I am vehemently against.
Yeah,
And then,
that
you know,
is-
I met a guy who was working for the city of Chicago, and he was just doing this plowing snow. Dude made like $9,000 in 24 hours because he was making like $150 an hour just plowing snow with time and a half and all these other things that he was getting. And it's just like, it just kind of blew my mind that stuff was going on there, because I really think that people should be taken care of in the long term, but it shouldn't be to the detriment of the state, and it shouldn't be to the detriment of, you know, all the individuals. And if 85% of the city revenue is going to pay for a pension plan, I find that number just shocking, really. Like, how did it even get there?
Well, that is, you know, because I think it has been like that for at least for last 5 years, as I know. Because I talked to Mayor Ali when we talked. I said, "What can you do?" He said, "This is the amount of the money I have to work with." So everything, all the projects you see, the new road construction, everything is coming from this grants from the federal to the state to the Peoria. That is how all the roads are being built. All the areas is being done.
So
The TIF
have we
district.
maybe gotten ineffective at grant writing? Are we now ineffective at, you know,
Well-
working with the state and federal government?
This is probably should be off the line, I would say, but
we can talk about it. I mean, I only ask because it's an important question. It really is.
I can tell you my opinion, but I'm not sure whether you want to put it on the thing.
I mean, I don't care. Like, I think that, you know, everybody has a valid opinion. Your perception matters, and I think that if you state it, there's other people out there that are gonna, you know, agree with you. And even if I don't agree with it, yeah, who cares?
Well, this kind of goes with the politics, and the state is obviously democratic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the city has been what so far until Mayor Rita Ali came.
I don't know. I actually don't know. I know
I
there's
think Jim Martis was
Republican.
Republican.
artists.
They've been Republican. You're right.
Republicans forever.
Yeah, you know,
The
we
state
last
would not-
year.
the state would have a, you know, state decides where the funds go, where the grants go, and then that definitely they would give it to where their government is. So city of Peoria did not get much, except according to the population they get some funds.
Okay, so
Whatever it
you're
is.
thinking it's because this is I've heard this a lot from, my dad's a hardcore Republican. He always says, there's 119 states, 120, or I'm sorry, counties within the state, 104 of them are red.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, yeah, but you've also got 10 million people living in a handful of them. So their vote doesn't count less because everybody else is spread out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that you believe that because Peoria has primarily been a Republican-run city, that they haven't been able to gain access to the state-level funds because the state administrators have been feeding it to their own, essentially, sending that money to
So the
Chicagoland.
way the funds come, pretty much. I mean, we talked about our funds, right? Already, 85% goes this way, 50% here to work with. Part of that goes to the school district. Part of this goes to the Peoria Airport. Some goes to the Peoria Park District. I mean, those are the essential services that has to be done, pretty much, right?
No mental health was mentioned.
Well, that is nothing like that, actually. But so that is the one part, right? So we got that part. Now we go, so federal funds come into the state, right? And that's, the federal fund, according to the population, they are supposed to give it to each state. And the state would give it to wherever it requires. Obviously, Chicago has the largest population, more needs, more things. So majority of that goes to Chicago area, right?
I mean,
Anyway.
I think it's
The rest, whatever is left out, is where pretty much something has to be done. So Jahan Gordon Booth came into play. She is the chairperson of
Yes, yeah.
the budget of the state of Illinois. She's from Peoria.
Yes, she is. I know
So
her.
yeah, so
Represent.
she got the funds for this road constructions currently.
Yeah.
And that was that through a grant process?
Yeah, it's a grant
Yeah.
process. Right.
So Phil, he was
So
basically
like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, one
What he
more
was
thing
basically
I want to say. Again, the the city itself does not want any outside funds coming and
right.
more things. It's a it's a both ways. They don't want to give it. These people don't want to take it because it comes with the red tags and whatever you need to do, something like that. So the
Under
people of
regulations.
Victoria does not want to have any outside people, like your railway, like the
Yeah, the railway. Yeah.
railway from Chicago to Peoria.
Peoria.
Oh, Amtrak. Yeah.
It's Amtrak, and it's been died down several times. It has re-resurrected now, but whether it's
Yeah.
going to happen or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah, dude, that would be
The-
awesome.
the,
if I
you
could
know,
Yeah, that's what they're
train-
doing now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be nice, the railroad.
Interstate
Even,
did not come through here. You have to go really a weird way to go to Chicago,
Right.
or St. Louis, right? So I think there is both ways. Is what I think that city is really has not progressed as it should be. And the county is where the real estate taxes go, which depends on, like, school district depends on that. And then the city, I mean, obviously big, ticket items like OSF and Methodist and Carl, and they are all tax exempt completely.
Well,
So
but their employees
their
aren't.
buildings are not taxed at all.
But we're still
Wow.
getting revenue from the employee wages.
That is the only thing we get it, but that 85% goes to pension.
Right.
But that's really not anybody's fault. You know what I'm saying? Really, you can't really blame that on one person.
Right.
You know, in general, it's a whole. You see what I'm saying? So we can't say, oh, because this mayor is in here, that's the reason why this stopped. No, it's all funding. It's all coming through different avenues, and it got to be displayed in a certain way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, distributed in a certain way. You see what I'm saying? So
Who was the
But the
Speaker of the
receiver
House?
has to be willing to also pitch in. So when Mayor Ardis was there were so many opportunities after the
man, did we talk about that, Phil?
Oh, dude, yeah.
after the
I forgot
after
about
the
that.
COVID,
I sent some
right?
emails.
After COVID, there were so many funds and grants available, but he didn't care about it.
Yeah. And that's what we was talking about.
Yeah, well,
mean,
that's
we-
what I'm trying to get to the bottom to. Is like when did it actually happen? 'Cause so one of the things that we were talking about in our last podcast was,
Yeah.
twice now Peoria has been voted the worst place for Black people and people of color to
Yep.
live. And
Yep.
it's a disgusting thing. And
Yeah.
and then what we talked about was they held a diversity and inclusion meeting.
Right.
I won't say
With the
makeup
Rockford
of
mayor?
The room. Yeah, with the Rockford mayor, with the guy who won that prestigious award the year before and was able to clean up perception without actually fixing anything. And this
Exactly.
was the keynote speaker, and it was like you don't see the problem with this? Like, you don't see the issue there? Come on.
that boils your blood, Philip, don't it?
It really does. Well, and to know that, like, there were, I mean, from them, it was 2016, I think, was the first year that it happened. From 2016 to now, I mean, you have countless years of grants and opportunity that we were talking about what the arts looks like for the Black community, and how it's just kind of been on this downward trend over the last few years. And Anshuman, DJ Mimic, and I, and a few others in the community, like we're passionate about driving that community right back to where it needs to be in the limelight. And we were just trying to figure out what was it? What was the change that happened that just kind of disintegrated?
We just said we lost everything. With artists, it's proven. We lost a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And everybody said, he didn't care, obviously, like you said. So It is what it
Well,
is.
well, I mean, I think I am optimistic guy. I'm half full
Me
guy.
too.
I'm
Me too.
telling you that. So Peoria is not everything is down. I mean, they have really done such a good job in warehouse district. It's actually a good place to go.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I think it is a nice area. I mean, you go to those coffee place and stuff. You sit there and have coffee. You would not feel like you are in Peoria. Some of the restaurants you are there is pretty much comparable to any big city, obviously. So I am optimistic. I am, we need to do more, obviously. But I think, as I said before, I think we have to have a businesses come in, we have to have a workforce ready, we have to increase the base. If there is an increase in base, then there's more funds, and then there are more people to go to all this. Even civic center gets a show, it has to be full. Then only it would help the arts and other things too.
Yeah, which the
You
last
know,
2 years they have
they've done.
broken their historical records, which
Right.
I'm over the moon about. But I haven't actually participated in any of those shows. So.
And they were talking about letting it go. Remember? We almost lost the Civic Center.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would have been very, very sad.
I don't think it would have gone, but I think it's just we needed a better management, which is there now. So I think I'm not. I mean, as I said, I'm optimistic and hoping that I may not see it in my lifetime, but some of the younger people would see it. That something we did it could have done the fruit. The fruits you might see it eventually.
Speaking of seeing it, what's one action that you would challenge the Asian Indian community to do that you would want to see consistently to help drive the arts and culture in Peoria?
Well, the arts and culture part is, as I said, and Anshuman already mentioned that we are more geared towards, and you already said, more professional sort of things.
Well, so and
Which
that's
is
really a great answer too. Is in answering the question from that professional perspective and providing the education, the jobs, the career pathing, and everything that an individual would need to be able to stay in Peoria. We can grow our tax base, we can grow the dollars that stay here, and in growing those dollars, you're going to have a flourishing art community.
yes, eventually that would reach to that level, but currently it is not our goal. And
So, well, for today, for your mission from the AICCP, what's that one thing that you would like to see participants do?
well, as I said, the philanthropy is our main thing, so they can participate as much as they should, and develop or at least raise more philanthropies for the future.
So
That
right
is
now, it sounds like it's growing that message to individuals who of some level of prominence who have those capabilities to be able to give back, sharing the message with other individuals and growing it that way. Thank you. That's awesome.
yeah,
So
exactly.
one thing, this is one of the few times I will ever disagree with you, Doctor, about anything. But one reason I think why the AIPCC needs to reach into the arts community in particular, because long ago, like up until the 20th or late 19th century, 20th century, in the 20th century, artists never were regarded as something separate from the professional community. Like being an artist was seen as a job in some ways, like providing services for people. Especially, I think, because with the rise of AI art, especially in AI music, basically people, because with AI, it needs to take assets in order to actually grow and produce things. Like artists are complaining that art and their products are being stolen, essentially, and copied. One thing I think that does need, like, professional, there will always be a need for artists, whether it's for marketing or basically production work. So in some ways, try to figure out how the artist community can reintegrate back into the professional community. So they don't necessarily have to be exclusively exclusive, per se.
So I let me kind of just give you one comment about that. So each community has several pillars, right? So one of the pillar, the basics that we need to have So one of the pillar is obviously the religious cultural things, which is we are very strong on that. We have temple here. We have Chinmaya Mission is another temple. There's another temple just was established just about 3 months ago, and then there's another plan to build another temple. So obviously, temples, culture, the religious thing is we are very solid. The second one is the business community has to be there, which is we are there, but not as much, but we sort of more professional, working for businesses and very, very minimal businesses we have. The third is, media. We don't have any presence in media at all. We don't have our own newspaper or
Yeah, we can help with
something.
that.
We don't have any of those. And then the fourth is what we talked about it is a little bit where you need to be in the politics sort of thing. So those are the four, at least four areas I see. Majority what Anshu you was talking about is our artists, cultural, whatever, all those things sort of tie into the temple activities. So in the temple, obviously they do a lot of you know bhajans which are singing. They have arts, they have rangoli, right, that they actually do some painting, yeah, about rangoli during, I mean, these are all festival associated art activities,
So,
which is what is happening in the temple.
so I understand, doctor. The
Right.
thing is,
So I think what I'm saying is that is where our community will not be disassociate with. That's what I'm saying.
okay, I understand, doctor. I meant to say not just for the Indian community, but other communities as well. However, like with in regards to what you said about the broadcasting actually getting the word out, that is a problem with the Indian community because a lot of people say that Peoria is a horrible place to live. It is in some ways, but however, there's a strong, good, thriving Indian community here that's like we're bringing something special, and in some ways we're kind of helping prop it up.
Yeah, and maybe my understanding of the culture and art is different than you probably talking about it. Uh, but that is what it is, what it is for Indian community for now. So there are some deficiencies we have, which we need to overcome. So certain things we need to work on it, which I think we are planning on that this 2025 is where we're gonna start with the media and other things. That is the idea. The politics, I don't think we're gonna go much higher than what we are right now. But that is what it is for now. So,
Well,
uh,
I've got a question. Like, for me, being somebody who's kind of, an outsider looking into the Indian Asian community, um, say I wanted to participate or I wanted to learn more about the culture. Where can I go to get started? Is that something that's acceptable? Or if I showed up to a temple, would I get booted out?
I think the temples are like, churches, they are open for the people to come, but that where you gonna get all the religious thing only, obviously. All the functions that you see, see the culture, as I said, culture has several aspects, right? Food is big thing.
Ah, yeah.
Your festival has to be good thing. Your performances, dances, color things, and those are the good things. And what you mentioned about the clothes and how they wear and how those kids have colorful things and stuff like that. So those are the things that you have to kind of know or come and experience. So it's probably not gonna have it only in temple. It's gonna be having in many different areas. So
Well, I asked
and
that because I went to a Sangeet and it was like one of my first, like strong interactions with Indian culture, and I had a blast, man. That was one of the best parties I've ever been to. I'm like still thinking about it, like the food, the people, just the perspective. It was phenomenal, and frankly, I want more of that in my life. And it's something that's been missing. So I want to know how I can integrate myself, back into that community here in Peoria, but in a way that's meaningful for both of us.
So you went to where? Where did you go? You said.
My friend got married in New York, so I flew out to
Wow.
Manhattan. They had a Sangeet there. What's the thing where they paint on the?
Yeah, that is what
Henna.
exactly. That's
Yeah,
what I was talking about, henna.
Yeah, I did that. They told me not to, but I did it anyways. Yeah, no, it was.
But I think
Thank
those
you.
are the things you would see as a cultural thing. But temple, you're not gonna find that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can go to the temple, but you won't have. This is obviously, these are the all fun things to do in wedding, and those are the fun things to do in any of our festival, like this Diwali festival, or if you come to this Christmas bonanza, you would have henna and other things too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But our carol singings will be in Indian language, which you probably never have heard. You would
I
hear
mean,
that.
a little bit. I could learn some Indian language.
No,
Why
I'm
not?
talking about the carol singing, like,
The singing.
Joy to the World would be in Indian language.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think that's
what I'm
awesome.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, broaden my perspective, broaden my horizons.
Yeah. Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. So you could come on 7th, around 4:30 at that time. Just tell them I invited you.
Oh, thank you. All right, there we have it.
Yeah.
We are invited.
Yeah. So you're fine.
Hey, guys, just to let you know, we're kind of getting close
Oh.
to the end because it's been an hour and a half.
Oh, you spent
yeah.
a
Oh yeah,
lot.
well we kind of started late. We started late. Officially we started late, so yeah, you're right.
Well, and we had some really big, important conversations to have. This is a really
Right.
meaty conversation. We had a lot to chew on.
Right. And I know that we expect to go for an hour, but if the interview goes over an hour, hey, this our show. We can do what we want, right?
Well,
It don't gotta be official, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
but we
especially when
wanna
you're
be
learning
res-
stuff.
We want to be respectful of Dr. McQuan's
Yes.
time.
Yes, definitely.
And
Well,
and-
he having much fun as we are. We all lost track of time. So,
Well, we need to check the score of the game. What happened here?
oh man, the Bears lost a field goal
No,
block
they-
at the
they
end.
missed,
I won,
It was
one
dramatical.
point.
Yes, we won. We came back. I was peeping it while we was in there, and then right at the end, man, one of the guys blocked our field goals. We almost won. Caleb brought us all the way to the end, and we kicked the field goal. And one of the Green Bay guys tipped it with his fingertip, hit it with his fingertip,
No.
and we lost. Another dramatic loss.
Well, Anshu, thank you so much. I
Yeah.
think we
Thanks
had
for being on
really
the
a
show.
great time, and thank you all. Nice to see
Yes.
you.
Thank you,
you.
Dr.
Thank
McQuan.
you.
Thank you,
I'll
Doctor.
send
Yeah.
Anshu the flyer for December 7th. And
Yeah.
Okay.
you're
Thank you.
most
Please
welcome
do,
to
Doctor.
come And
Okay.
enjoy. So nice meeting you, and hopefully we'll, in a
Chat
year
again.
or two, we can see what else we can do to improve Peoria. So,
Yeah.
Amen.
Oh, it don't have to be a year. I mean, you can let us know if we need anything that we can help you. You do so much for the community. Just let me know what you need, and I'll be available. I'm pretty sure
Same.
Phil and Ashmi will too. Everybody will.
Okay.
Sure,
Yeah.
definitely. I'll go through Anshu and get back to you guys if I
Okay.
need something. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Doctor.
Happy Thanksgiving, you all.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank
Thanksgiving.
you, guys.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. This is Peoria Life. Check us out at peorialife.com or on YouTube, Peoria Life.